Chapter 356, Bottom Line of Acceptance. Cannot? Impossible? Too bad, Su Ro ended up with an old man. Seeing Su Buiyuan in an agitated state, if he were to reveal the truth again, Su Buiyuan might end up like Zhou Fen, having a heart attack even without heart disease. He didn't want the man to die suddenly, so he sighed and said, remarrying is impossible. Don't worry about it. Take care of the present situation. I brought Professor Zhou over. She has lived and worked here for decades and has deep memories. There are traces of your past together here. Spend some time with her, revisit those places, and see if you can pick up where you left off. He added, also, I'll bring Zhou Jiajia over later for you to meet. Last time, Professor Zhou had a special expression when she saw Zhou Jiajia, as if she were seeing a relative. I asked her if Zhou Jiajia is your illegitimate daughter. Here, Fang Hao paid special attention to Su Buiyuan. If Zhou Jiajia was indeed their illegitimate daughter, wouldn't that mean they were testing the boundaries of taboo just now? That would be too melodramatic. He couldn't help but ask directly, after you gave birth to Su Ro, did you have any more children? Su Buiyuan was quite certain, saying, no. After Su Ro was born, your mother got an intrauterine device, and at that time, I was at the stage of career success, busy with work, and had no thoughts of extramarital affairs. Therefore, there is no such thing as an illegitimate daughter. Zhou Jiajia does resemble your mother and Su Ro, but there is still a difference from your mother's appearance when she was young. Your mother is more conservative and intellectual, like a pure and noble moon. Zhou Jiajia has a more vulgar quality all over. One is in the sky, the other on the ground, a world of difference. Really? If Zhou Jiajia has no connection with you, how can she look so much like you? It was a coincidence that she resembled Zhou Fen and Su Ro, but now she resembles both. Isn't that too much of a coincidence? Don't you find it strange? Fang Hao was very puzzled, feeling that something was not right. Su Buiyuan said, could it be that Zhou Jiajia envied Su Ro's beauty, so she underwent cosmetic surgery? In beauty centers, some people imitate the faces of beautiful women in society, especially those of celebrities. I'm not sure. There is a possibility. I'll ask her later. Fang Hao used to think that Zhou Jiajia was just one of old dog Zhang's many women, but the change in Zhou Fen's expression when she saw Zhou Jiajia made him have a premonition that things might not be so simple. Afterward, Fang Hao asked Su Buiyuan to find Zhou Fen, and he went to see Zhou Jiajia. He saw Zhou Jiajia standing by the green belt outside, talking on the phone, nodding in agreement. He approached, and the other party hung up, seeming not to want him to hear. Fang Hao asked, Zhang Ling Tian? Zhou Jiajia paused slightly, smiled charmingly, and said, Fang Hao, I knew you divorced Su Ro. I've been wanting to talk to you every day. Without admitting or denying, it seemed that she really contacted old dog Zhang. Was she afraid I would expose Su Ro? Wanting to talk to me? Just see if you dare. Fang Hao said directly, I'm at the Provincial People's Hospital. If you want to talk, you're welcome anytime. He changed the topic, staring at her face, and said, I have a question. You're not Professor Zhou's illegitimate daughter, nor Su Ro's cousin. How do you look so much like them? Did you undergo plastic surgery? Hee, you're overthinking. I'm 100% natural, born beautiful. The resemblance to Su Ro is a coincidence and fate. If you're on the night shift, I can come over and accompany you. Zhou Jiajia revealed her most beautiful smile, as if everything was in her control, making her calm and composed. When Fang Hao took her to meet Zhou Fen, she showed no signs of panic. When she saw Zhou Fen, who resembled her, Zhou Jiajia remained very calm. Similarly, when Zhou Fen saw Zhou Jiajia, there was no emotional fluctuation. Obviously, she had completely forgotten Zhou Jiajia. Seeing no progress, Fang Hao let Zhou Jiajia leave first. Fang Hao followed Zhou Fen and others to the Jiangdong University Historical Archives, where there were many old photos and items, including award-winning trophies, certificates, and even mini-models of some old school buildings displayed here. These mini-models were made during the demolition and reconstruction of the buildings, allowing later generations to reminisce about the past. As Zhou Fen walked, she suddenly stopped at a model of a tower. She stared at the tower, her face gradually changing expressions, fear, unease, anger. Sensing something, Fang Hao approached and asked, Mom, what are you thinking about? I feel like everything in front of me is turning red, and the world around me is also turning red. My head is in pain. What's happening? Zhou Fen looked distressed. Fang Hao quickly checked her pulse and found it irregular, indicating that she might have been stimulated by something. He asked Fei Fei to bring a wheelchair and helped Zhou Fen sit down. Then, he asked Fei Fei to take her outside to send her back to the hospital. He took out his phone and took a photo of the model in front of him. After placing Zhou Fen in the car, he pulled Fei aside and said, "Help me find the historical records of this building, especially during the period when my mom was studying here. See what happened in this building. You're responsible for finding more information, such as school records and newspapers. Once you have everything, bring it to me. Revisiting familiar things might help my mom recover her memory." On one hand, it would help Zhou Fen recover her memory, and on the other hand, Fang Hao wanted to understand what kind of person Zhang Lingtian was during his student days. Aberrant personalities are not innate, they are stimulated or deliberately cultivated later in life. Understanding why Zhang Lingtian became the way he did would help Fang Hao better plan his revenge and make him suffer as he deserved. Fang Hao thought for a moment and added, "During this time, if you have any math problems you don't understand, we can discuss them together. Your project will be fine." Recently, the research group had been worried and pessimistic upon learning about Zhou Fen's memory issues. Now, with Fang Hao's assurance, Fei felt more confident. At the hospital, Fang Hao took Zhou Fen for treatment, while Su Buiyuan called his daughter, asking her to come to the hospital as well. Su Ro was playing with her son at the amusement park. Watching her son having so much fun in the inflatable castle, her heart felt like it was melting. "Son, you're not Lingtian's child, which is a bit regrettable. If Lingtian had such a healthy and lively son, he would definitely have agreed to marry me without hesitation. However, having your father as my husband is not bad either. At least, my chances of remarrying with him are higher because of your existence." On the phone, she heard about her mother's illness and felt worried. Knowing that Fang Hao had been accompanying her mother, she felt inexplicably relieved, trusting Fang Hao's exceptional medical skills. However, when she heard her father asking about the age of the man she was seeing outside, she was momentarily stunned, realizing that something was not right. She immediately asked, "What did my husband tell you?" Fang Hao didn't say much, but he hinted that the man you're seeing is older than you. "Your father's point is that finding a mature man is reasonable, and I can accept that. However, you can't find someone too old. Su Ro, your father put it this way, if you really find someone who could be your father, you should sever ties with us." "Dad, what nonsense are you talking about? I only have my husband." Su Ro hung up the phone, her gaze becoming blank. "Oh no, my parents will never accept the matter between Lingtian and me. What should I do? Husband, you're testing the limits of my parents' acceptance. You are so ruthless." Chapter 357, Prototype of the Statue. After undergoing treatment, Zhou Fen's heart rate stabilized, but no matter how much Fang Hao hinted, she couldn't recall anything from the past. Fang Hao, feeling helpless, had to temporarily give up. After work, he took Zhou Fen and Su Buiyuan back to the villa. His ex-wife had been waiting there. Seeing that there was no change in her parents' expressions, she knew that Fang Hao's hints to them were limited. After her parents went back inside, she stopped Fang Hao in the car. She said, "Husband, are you really going to tell my parents? They won't be able to handle it. If something happens to them, what should I do? Husband, can't you forgive me? Even if you can't forgive me, can't you give me more time? I haven't said anything to your dad, otherwise, he would have known by now. He thinks I misled him with the photo of Zhou Jieja last time, and that's why he supported our divorce. He regrets it now. He went to find Zhou Jieja to make me understand that I was wrong. Su Ro, don't treat your parents as fools. And don't act so selfish and chilling. Your mom's fate was ruined by Zhang Laogo, and your dad will eventually suspect Zhang Laogo. How long can you hide it with this attitude? Enough is enough. It wasn't done by Lingtian, he wasn't there that night. He's still involved. Husband, give me some time. I will investigate thoroughly. I will definitely give you the truth. Rely on you? Pigs might fly. I don't believe you. Later, I'm going to Tianyi Hospital. Oh, I've checked. There is no hospitalization record for Fang Jiajiao at Tianyi Hospital. There's only a 3-year-old girl named Zhang Jiajia. You've changed your daughter's last name, why not openly let her get married? Husband, it's not like you think. It's not. That's enough. Fang Hao didn't bother to listen to Su Ro's explanation. He drove her away and left. The relevant departments sealed Tianyi Hospital and other private hospitals and sanatoriums owned by Zhang Lingtian. After an investigation, patients were transferred, and medical staff were isolated for review. The hospital leaders were taken directly to the Provincial Armed Police Center for quarantine. The scene was still tightly sealed. Fang Hao, busy with treating Chang Lao and others during the day, had no time to investigate. Therefore, the relevant departments adjusted their working hours and conducted a comprehensive carpet search at night. Fang Hao arrived at the scene and found that the level of ceiling was higher than he had imagined. He thought, I underestimated the importance of this incident. Director Fang, hello, I am the deputy team leader of the Special Task Force, my surname is Chang. A middle-aged man in a Zhongshan suit approached and shook hands with Fang Hao. Fang Hao shook hands and observed the man. He was in his early 40s, with an ordinary appearance, similar in height to Fang Hao. This kind of person, thrown into a crowd, would just be an ordinary member. The man's handshake was powerful, with stronger muscles and bones than an average person, indicating that he was either from the military or had undergone rigorous training. He said, hello, Director Chang. What are your orders now? You can tell me everything. No, Director Fang, when we're on site, everything is up to your opinion. We all listen to your arrangements. After all, you are the professional. It's my first time investigating on-site. I don't have enough experience. Director Chang, don't put all the responsibility on me. Director Fang is humble. Being able to identify a nerve agent, you are already outstanding in the industry. Moreover, I have also seen your resume. You have a unique professional sensitivity that we outsiders cannot match. You don't need to decline. All right. I'll reluctantly accept it. Let's discuss and organize the work together. Fang Hao felt that he had been pushed into the limelight and was suddenly highly valued. But he was prepared, not in a rush, and efficiently organized the tasks. The deputy team leader, observing how methodical and clear-minded Director Fang was, couldn't help but admire the young man's capabilities. While assigning tasks to the team, Director Fang and the deputy team leader stayed behind for a private conversation. Director Fang inquired, Team leader, give me some background. Why is the severity level so high this time? The deputy team leader explained, originally, this information was classified, but considering your involvement, I'll share it with you. Do you remember the mathematics problem that had a $5 million reward? Yes, the problem. You were the one who solved it, as Professor Zhou informed us. Director Fang, you're proficient in medical science, saving lives, and possess extraordinary mathematical talent. You're truly a genius. Enough with the compliments. Just tell me the background of that mathematical problem. It was a computational challenge from the physics team, focusing on researching a parameter for a specific engine model. Professor Zhou's subsequent projects also revolved around refining this parameter to provide a reliable mathematical model for that engine. The details are too technical for me to describe. Lowering his voice, the deputy team leader continued, regardless, it involves cutting-edge national defense technology. So, when Professor Zhou had an accident, we deemed it necessary to take it seriously. So, this is the reason for escalating the situation. Unbelievable. If Zhou Fen saw a photo of Zhang Lingtian and Chang Yu kissing and confronted Zhang Laogo, he guessed Zhang Laogo feared Zhou Fen had figured it out. Therefore, Zhang Laogo wanted to take drastic measures to make Zhou Fen lose her memory. That's my guess. How did it get tangled up with national affairs? Zhang Laogo, are you really this unlucky? Or are you inherently unclean? Director Fang didn't believe Zhang Lingtian was a traitor to the country. After all, the development of any family was inseparable from the country. A strong country meant strong families beneath it. The top-tier families were more intertwined with national interests and less likely to betray the country. Instead, they sought opportunities to ascend to the highest positions. This approach was more in line with sustained interests and maximization. Director Fang was more inclined to believe that Zhang Lingtian was hiding something, prompting him to resort to such extreme measures. Another paradox, Director Fang solved the problem, and Zhou Fen worked to secure his benefits. Even if it was for the mathematical model of that parameter, they should have kidnapped Director Fang to conduct the research. However, regardless of the circumstances, with the involvement of a government agency, Zhang Lingtian wouldn't dare to make a move. Su Rou brought her daughter here for treatment and didn't return to Su Buiyuan's home. Aside from the special care room having a bedroom, there was likely also a bedroom for Zhang Laogo here. Director Fang noticed this detail while examining his daughter's room. He found many belongings of Su Rou but none of a man, indicating that Zhang Lingtian didn't stay overnight with them. Zhang Lingtian also needed to avoid being seen, or else the affair between him and Su Rou would become public. This would be especially troublesome with the frequent presence of Zhang Yue Huo, such as last night. However, Zhang Lingtian wouldn't miss such an opportunity to be close to Su Rou, especially with their biological daughter present. A harmonious scene of a family of three. Zhang Lingtian had no wife and no children, so he would undoubtedly cherish Su Ro even more. Seeing the treatment progress of his daughter and examining the test results, he instinctively opened them and reviewed them. The conclusion he drew was not good at all. Poor Yue Xia. Director Fang sighed repeatedly as he went to another room, the one where Zhang Lingtian stayed. After a thorough search, he found no scandalous or explicit photos or videos of Zhang Lingtian and ex-wife Su Ro, which made Director Fang breathe a slight sigh of relief. Southern China scriptures? Director Fang discovered a book on the desk, a classical scroll-shaped book that was dust-free, showing signs of regular flipping of pages. Zhang Laogo reads Shuangzi? Is this his knowledge hub? Director Fang opened the book, and when his fingers touched the last page, he distinctly felt an increase in thickness. He carefully split it open and found a hidden photograph inside. The photograph had its head torn off, making it impossible to identify the person. The woman in the picture wore a qipao, had a fantastic figure, and the background was edited, making it unclear. Was this the prototype of the Tianji Peak statue? Did Su Ro own such a qipao? I haven't seen her wear one. Director Fang originally thought the statue was based on his ex-wife Su Ro, but upon seeing this photo, he wasn't so sure anymore. He felt that the prototype might be the woman in this picture. Zhang? There was a handwritten word on the back of the photo, Zhang. Only one word, Zhang. Is this woman surnamed Zhang? Chapter 358, Are You Jealous? After completing the investigation at Tianyi Hospital, Fang Hao wanted to conduct a surprise inspection of Zhang Lingtian's villa at Tianji Peak. However, the deputy team leader didn't agree due to incomplete procedures. Tianji Peak was the facade of the upper echelons of Jiangdong City society. Without concrete evidence of posing a threat to the country or societal security, relevant authorities wouldn't inspect it recklessly. Such inspections required approval and cooperation from the provincial level and needed prior notice. Fang Hao, suspected of personal motives, couldn't provide conclusive evidence, so he had to give up. Discovering Zhang Lingtian's private hospital series left him with no place to hide the dirt. The matters requiring frequent recuperation couldn't be concealed anymore. The more Zhang Lingtian exposed himself, the more opportunities arose for everyone to attack. Overnight, following Fang Hao's instructions, the task force members swept through additional locations, packaging the obtained drugs and documents and transporting them back to the provincial armed police center. The next phase involved searching for clues within this information. If they could bring down Zhang Lingtian, it would be ideal. As dawn broke, Fang Hao returned to the temporary office in the hospital. After a short nap to overcome fatigue, he began working. Unexpectedly, when he opened his computer to search for information, all he could find was leukemia. After downloading a considerable amount of data, he suddenly realized he couldn't forget about his daughter, Yue Xia. The thought of her well-being made the scenes in front of him blur. Fate, the master of irony. Zhang Laogo had so many women and played for decades without a child. It was highly likely he was infertile and barren, an utterly shameless act, a deed deserving utter condemnation. Yet, why, on my wedding night, could he plant his seed in that vile woman Su Ro's belly? What kind of joke is fate playing on me? Wiping away his tears, Fang Hao understood the turmoil within himself. If my daughter were here right now, even if she's not biologically mine, I would still treat her medically. Reaching this conclusion left him feeling helpless and angry, conflicting emotions repeatedly breaking and healing. Suddenly, the door was pushed open, disrupting Fang Hao's work mode, and he felt a bit annoyed. However, when he saw his son, a childish voice and a tender face with an innocent smile, all his dissatisfaction evaporated in an instant. Not even a minute later, he saw his ex-wife enter. "Honey, I brought Mom here. Our son missed you, so he insisted on coming to see you. Later, I'll take him to the amusement park as planned with Sister Rueli." His ex-wife smiled gently, speaking softly. She assessed Fang Hao's face, still as handsome as ever. Perhaps due to a lack of sleep last night and not bothering with grooming in the morning, his stubborn facial hair stubbornly emerged, adding a touch of melancholy, enhancing his manly charm. Pausing for a moment, she approached and kissed Fang Hao. Seeing Fang Hao instinctively avoiding her, she directly grabbed his face, and her cherry lips pressed against his. "Are you crazy? Disgusting or not disgusting?" Fang Hao pushed away his ex-wife, grabbing tissue to wipe his mouth. "I think it's quite nice." His ex-wife smiled. The kiss just now made her feel something. She truly wanted to keep kissing him and surrender herself to Fang Hao. Unfortunately, Fang Hao pushed her away, rejecting her advances. "He's disgusted with me. This thought crossed his ex-wife's mind, leaving her feeling a bit lost. However, when she saw the information Fang Hao was looking at, leukemia data, she had a pleasantly surprised thought. My husband is worried about our daughter. I have a chance to remarry him. Husband, you hypocritical guy. You still love me. Suro thought this way, and she smiled slightly. After bidding farewell with their son, she took him out. In the car, she suddenly received a call from Zhang Lingtian, causing her to frown. She instinctively glanced at her son and reluctantly answered, "Why are you calling so early? My son is with me, and I'm taking him out to play." Zhang Lingtian said, "That little brat, leave him with Xiao Gue, and come over. I miss you." Suro replied, "It's the weekend today. I'll spend the day with my son, and next week, I'll go take care of Jia. Let Yunjie come over to keep you company. Zoyun is busy, she's restructuring Blue Sky Group." "Oh, did my husband agree to hand over Blue Sky Group?" Little Xiao Gue wouldn't agree, right? Zoyun said he retained only 1% of the shares. 1%? What does he want with that share? Suro was a bit puzzled. She thought Fang Hao was very clever. Spending millions to acquire the shares of the chairman of Blue Sky Group and then willingly transferring them to Zoyun, along with retaining 1% of the shares, there might be some hidden meaning behind it. Zhang Lingtian continued, "Come, Xiao Gue is making me angry. I want to see you now. Bring the little brat, I'll play with him." "Are you crazy? He's my son too. If you want to bully him, you're bullying me. By the way, why do you always want to bully my husband and my son? What's wrong with you? So boring." Suro's thoughts were interrupted, and she temporarily set aside the matter of Fang Hao retaining 1%. She asked, "What do you mean by getting angry? Who provoked you?" "Last night, Xiao Gue and the workgroup from the capital raided those medical units, Tianyi, Niguang, Tianziji, and others. They moved everything inside to the armed police center. So, my husband didn't come home last night, he went to investigate Lingtian's industries. He still refuses to let Lingtian off?" Suro thought for a moment and asked, "Lingtian, tell me, was it an accident that my mom ingested the poison?" "It's definitely an accident. How could I have those things?" "No, Lingtian, you have biochemical laboratories both domestically and internationally. You can access these substances. Susu, have you ever seen me use them? I wouldn't be so reckless. Even though I play wildly, I've always stayed within the legal boundaries. Now Xiao Gue is causing trouble for me. He wants to label me as a traitor, wants me to make a fool of myself. He thinks I snatched you away. But why doesn't he use his turtle brain to think? If I hadn't allowed you to marry him, this rural trash loser, could he even touch a single hair on you? He can't even reach you with a single finger. He doesn't appreciate what I did for him and instead wants to blame me for wearing a green hat for him. What's he thinking? Damn it, Susu, do you know? It's him who gave me the green hat. You were originally mine. No, you have always been mine." Zhang Lingtian continued to blabber on. "Lingtian is starting to take my husband seriously. He now sees him as a rival." Suro narrowed her eyes and said, "Enough of these words. Are you feeling better now? My husband is a simple and ordinary doctor with low demands. If you don't provoke him, he'll be very docile. He only gets offensive if you annoy him. What's the point of making things difficult for him? Let me tell you, I think I'm going to remarry him. It's only because of you that I'm tolerating him. Otherwise, I would have dealt with him already. Susu, do you know? Even in this state, you still won't come to accompany me. I won't go. Call that nurse Xiaoyang to come back. She's younger than me and more obedient. I don't want to do what she can do. I see you're enjoying yourself the most. Haha, Susu, are you jealous?" Chapter 359, Guarding Against You. Ding. Fang Hao received a message from Zoyun because Suro was asking about the sale of Blue Sky Group, especially the matter of the 1% equity. "Suro, you despicable woman, guarding against me is just like guarding against anything else. Disgusting." Fang Hao had instructed Zoyun not to tell Suro the truth. At least until they profited from digging the pit, Suro shouldn't know. Otherwise, Suro might inform Zhang Lingtian, and he would have a countermeasure. Zoyun, now the female chairman of the group, not the old servant, was affected, but she still considered Fang Hao as her first master, obeying Fang Hao's orders absolutely. Fang Hao called Suro to give her something to do, distracting her attention. After the call, he noticed an older woman standing at the door. She had a high bun and was dressed in branded clothes with a name-tagged small bag hanging from her arm. This woman was Zhang Jun's mother. "Fang Hao, it's the big weekend, and you're still working overtime? You're really dedicated. Zhang's mother smiled as she entered. She admired young people like Fang Hao who were handsome and had saved her son's life. What she found most appreciable was that Fang Hao didn't actively seek connections with the Zhang family, didn't extend his hand to ask for anything, and didn't cause trouble for the Zhang family. Fang Hao asked, "Auntie, are you the only one coming?" Zhang's mother nodded and said, "Old Zhang knows you want to see him, wants to discuss dealing with Zhang Lingtian. Old Zhang says it's not the best time yet. Zhang Lingtian's investments in the medical field are just ordinary components among the many assets of the Zhang family, far less valuable than the national energy, real estate, tourism, and so on. So, they brought a spokesperson." Fang Hao said, "Actually, I think this is an opportunity. Of course, Uncle Zhang has a broad vision, and what he sees is much deeper than what I see. What's the point of it? He's busy making babies. He privately found many doctors specializing in male health to take care of his body. He wants to make babies. Do you think he can see the child grow up at his age? Does he really think he can live to be 100? Zhang's mother was a bit dissatisfied, complaining. "Damn, so old Zhang is not making a move, he's busy making babies. I thought this was a great opportunity to corner Zhang Lingtian. If they force Zhang Lingtian into a corner, he'll request medical parole, and then I'll have an excuse to get close to him and tamper with him. But you guys, if you push Zhang Lingtian into a corner, he'll ask for medical parole, and then I'll have an excuse to get close to him and tamper with him." Fang Hao said, "This is a family matter for your Zhang family. I won't comment. If there's anything I can do, just let me know, and I'll do my best." Zhang's mother said, "If I had known old Zhang was so crazy, I would have asked you to give him some medicine to chemically castrate him." Cough, cough. Fang Hao coughed repeatedly and said, "Auntie, you're joking. I'm not good at male health. I don't know if such medicines even exist. Also, what you said sounds like veterinary medicine. Hee, now old Zhang is a human beast in heat wearing human skin. Give him some animal medicine, it's the most suitable. Auntie, your family's relationship is really deep. Don't mess around. I came here to convey old Zhang's words. He said not to be in a hurry. He has been fighting against Zhang Lingtian for so many years. He knows that victory is not something that can be achieved overnight. Also, I feel a bit tired. I came here to make an appointment with you. Next time you come to my house, I'll let you take a look at me." Zhang's mother looked at the office and said, "Old Chen arranged such a small office for you. Later, I'll complain about him." "Oh, are you close to Director Chen?" "He's my senior. Back then, to pursue the pretty girl in our dorm, he sent us a lot of love letters. But who knew that the pretty girl wouldn't even look at him? What a small world. Let's make a deal. Next time, come to my house as a guest and take a look at me." "Sure." Fang Hao didn't say much. He had received help from the Zhang family and from Lu Jing. There were some debts of gratitude that he needed to repay. Before lunch a young woman entered Fang Hao's office. She looked young but had a well-rounded and full figure, exuding a mature feminine charm. Wearing glasses, she appeared refined with subtle red lips, emanating an intellectual beauty. Fang Hao wondered, I didn't open a clinic on the system. Why is someone looking for me? Dr. Fang, hello. I'm Li Rui. I wonder if you still remember me. Li Hui? Fang Hao suddenly recalled. Wasn't she the blind date arranged by Li Dong's wife, looking for a job after returning from overseas? He hadn't given up on his ex-wife and was busy with work, so he didn't go on the blind date. When he saw this woman, he felt his choice was right. Except for her well-rounded figure, her face and body couldn't compare to his ex-wife's. He asked, "Oh, it's you. How did you find me here?" Li Rui said, "I remember making 2 appointments with you, but you didn't come out to meet me. However, my third aunt has been saying good things about you, asking me not to give up. So, I came to find you on my own. Can I make another appointment with you now? Will you agree?" "No. Since you're here, let's make it clear. This is just a one-sided wish of your third aunt. She's kindly adding trouble to you and me. We are not suitable." Fang Hao didn't let her have any illusions. Li Rui said, "Actually, this is my first blind date since returning to China. I didn't expect to meet someone as outstanding as you and be rejected. It's a lesson for me. Dr. Fang, can we be friends in the future?" "What kind of friends?" "Just ordinary friends. For example, if I have a medical issue, can I consult you?" "That's acceptable." "Okay, it's a deal. I will be entering the Ministry of Foreign Affairs this time, working in the capital. When you come to the capital, look for me. Other than that, I won't say much. How about treating you to Peking duck? Is that okay?" Li Rui shook hands with Fang Hao and left satisfied. Fang Hao sat down, suddenly hearing hurried footsteps. Then, he smelled a familiar fragrance. Someone had embraced him from behind, his ex-wife. "What are you doing?" Fang Hao used his hand to block his ex-wife's approaching face and said impatiently, "What do you want again?" "I miss my husband. I came back to see you and have lunch together. Our family of 5. Before Fang Hao could refuse, his ex-wife immediately changed the subject and asked, "The woman just now, do you know her background? Did you go on a blind date with her? She even invited you for Peking duck, how cheap. Did this woman eavesdrop from outside the door?" Fang Hao said indifferently, "My affairs have nothing to do with you. What do you want to do?" His ex-wife pouted and said, "Seeing you with another woman, a sea turtle at that, and a female soldier, what kind of taste are you trying? I object on behalf of my son. You can't casually find a stepmother for our son." Seeing that Fang Hao's expression was getting worse, she quickly changed the topic and asked, "Just now, I met Sister Yun. She said you kept 1% of Blue Sky Group's shares. Why? Caring about my affairs, you might as well care about your own broken matters." Fang Hao quickly changed the topic, took out a disposable blood collection tube, and said, "You're idle. Go get blood from Zhou Jiejie. Later, do a paternity test with your parents. In case Zhou Jiejie is really your sister, and then your dad and Zhou Jiejie break through the sky, you'll be even more embarrassed." At the same time, he took out the photo with only half of it and asked, "Is this you?" "No. Really not?" "Yes, I don't have this cheongsam, I haven't worn a cheongsam, and look at these shoes, they are all old styles. This woman is not young." "Oh, then it's another old lover of old Dog Zhang. Suro, I thought the statue in old Dog Zhang's villa was you, but when I saw this woman, I changed my previous opinion. That statue was erected for this woman. You got old Dog Zhang's person, but you couldn't get his heart. No wonder he didn't marry you. You cheated on a scumbag, you deserve it. I'm very happy." Fang Hao lightly snorted and walked out. Suro's pupils suddenly constricted, and her facial expression became rich and colorful, filled with coldness and disappointment. Chapter 360, Plotting with the Tiger. "For the sake of our son, you really shouldn't find a stepmother for him." After lunch, Fang Hao's ex-wife complained to him as they watched their son sleeping in the car. Fang Hao had just answered a video call from Guolan, who even had their son call her stepmother a couple of times. This nearly made Fang Hao's ex-wife drop the dishes in her hand. Their son was so easily deceived. However, she could also see that their son had a natural liking for people in military uniforms, and with his excellent physical fitness, joining the military could be a good path for him. Guolan's straightforward and generous personality had also won their son's favor. Fang Hao responded, "Suro, don't be so selfish. You have old Dog Zhang, so should I just remain single? We've divorced, you have your wealth, and I have my ordinary life." His ex-wife pleaded, "Husband, we can choose to remarry. I will give you all my love, and we can live a simple life together in the future." Fang Hao, finishing his gesture of putting down his hand, said, "Don't think about remarrying. I've just eaten, don't bring up these nauseating matters. Oh, you should have Zhou Jiejie come over. I think she has the key to waking up your mom. Oh, I almost forgot, your mom was caused to wake up by your old lover. If you make your mom wake up, won't she point the finger at your old lover? You should feel sorry for her. Wonderful husband, don't be like this. I've already had Zhou Jiejie come over. I'll have her cooperate with your examination to determine her relationship with my mom." Seeing a policewoman approaching, his ex-wife whispered, "I also want to know who Zhou Jiejie really is." Officer Ren Xiaoying came over and took a look at the situation in the car, asking, "Dr. Fang, do you need any help?" She was concerned when she saw Fang Hao stop the car without turning it off or getting out. Fang Hao naturally said it was okay and left his son and ex-wife in the car while he went to work. In less than half an hour, he really saw Zhou Jiejie coming over. "Brother Hao, Sister Ro asked me to come and follow all your commands. Whatever you want to do to me, just go ahead." Zhou Jiejie teased Fang Hao. "This girl. How old are you to be so seductive? Are you the grandmaster among grandmasters? What did old Dog Zhang do to you to make you like this?" Fang Hao said indifferently, "Just do a physical examination." "Sure. Aren't you going to ask why you're having an examination?" "Sister Ro asked me to come for an examination. You're not going to harm me, right? Sister Ro said you'll marry me, so consider this a pre-marriage checkup." That shameless woman, speaking without hesitation. "Are all of them trash? Do you think I'm a garbage collector?" Fang Hao didn't say much, arranging for Yue Xia Huo to have a blood test and a full-body CT scan. After finishing, without waiting for Yue Xia Huo's results, he let her leave first. Fang Hao was busy with his medical work. In a coffee shop near the hospital, his son was playing happily in the nearby amusement park. His ex-wife, Su Ro, and Yue Xia Huo were drinking beverages and eating snacks. "Sister Ro, your husband is becoming more and more handsome and manly." Yue Xia Huo said this while staring at Su Ro, trying to see any displeasure on her face. But Su Ro remained calm. She knew that Fang Hao wouldn't accept even her, so how could he accept Yue Xia Huo? She also knew that Yue Xia Huo had more than just 5 men. She asked, "Jia, when did you first meet Ling Tian?" Yue Xia Huo paused, seemingly recalling something, and said, "It was probably in junior high school. I don't remember if it was in the first or second year." Su Ro scolded lightly, "Didn't you say that you met him when you joined the calligraphy class in primary school, and he took notice of you?" "Hee, Sister Ro, don't you remember? You're deliberately asking." Yue Xia Huo leaned closer and said, "Tell me, when did you and him first?" Su Ro's face suddenly changed. She said, "Don't ask about my affairs. This isn't fair. You ask about my affairs, so I have the right to ask about yours. Let it go. Why am I talking nonsense with you? Recently, my husband has been investigating Ling Tian. If you have nothing important, don't contact my husband. Don't let him use you." "Oh, what can your husband use me for?" "If you can understand Sister Cheng's fate, you'll know what my husband can use you for." "Sister Cheng? I just went up to see her, only through the glass. Seeing her like that is truly heartbreaking. Why is she so desperate?" "Jia, speaking of that night, did Ling Tian really spend the night with you?" "Considering Ling Tian's physique, I'm very clear. How could he have the strength to push Sister Cheng downstairs?" "Hee, Sister Ro, you suspect him too. Unfortunately, you're wrong. That night, we actually went to see Grandpa Li Wei. Grandpa Li Wei can testify." Yue Xia Huo took a sip of her drink and said, "By the way, your husband, oh, your ex-husband is really amazing. He actually managed to arrest Ling Tian. You don't know, after he came out, he was so fierce, not uttering a word. He said that in his life, it's the first time he's made such a big mistake. Your ex-husband is amazing. So, don't mess with my husband." Su Ro was feeling a bit regretful. If she had known earlier, she shouldn't have used Fang Hao as a shield or kept ties with Ling Tian. Now, stuck between the two, she couldn't find that balance point. The situation was completely out of control. "Your ex-husband is so amazing, I really want to experience being conquered by him. You don't know, the big engine of his lasts for an hour, so enduring. I've never encountered anything like it. I want to be conquered by him. I want to cry under him and reach climax." Yue Xia Huo licked her lips, revealing a greedy and lustful gaze. Su Ro's body trembled inexplicably. She was starting to feel something too. If she wasn't caught by Fang Hao for cheating, she would call him and ask him to come home for a session. But now she couldn't. If she called Fang Hao, he wouldn't answer her, let alone touch her. Things have changed. She lightly scolded, ending the conversation. Taking her son, she left to accompany her mother in the hospital, keeping an eye on Fang Hao. When she arrived at the hospital, she saw Su Buiyuan had also come. She let her son stay with her mother and called her father aside. In a low voice, she asked, "Did my husband conduct a paternity test with Yue Xia Huo for you? Tell me truthfully, did you and Yue Xia Huo have that kind of relationship?" Su Buiyuan's face turned red, and he said, "How is that possible? Your mom is like this, and I've made up my mind to break up with her. I was confused before, but I'm not that confused. I'm not so foolish. I only played along with her at times, and sometimes it was for work. Oh, speaking of that, I was just about to talk to you and Fang Hao. I plan to apply for retirement and spend more time with your mom. Sometimes I think, what am I striving so hard for in my career without a family? Now, Dad hopes you can remarry Fang Hao as soon as possible, and we can all live the peaceful life we had before." He remembered something and said, "Just now, Fang Hao asked me for information about Yue Xia Huo. I even swore to him that there's absolutely no intimate relationship between me and Yue Xia Huo. Oh, Fang Hao's mind is sharp. He'll probably find out who Yue Xia Huo really is soon." Su Ro's heart trembled again. Her husband was really planning to dig deep into everything about Ling Tian. "Husband, you never gave up the idea of revenge against me and Ling Tian. From Su Hong, Yang Wenjin, Cheng Yu, and others, my husband has always been by the emperor's side. Now, the person he's watching closely is Yue Xia Huo? Husband, you're too terrifying.